Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2013 Honda Civic, we're going to be checking out the Hollywood Racks Trail Rider 2-bike platform style rack. So first impressions of the rack on the back of the Honda, I actually think it looks pretty decent. It's not a huge bulky rack, so on a smaller car, kind of just makes sense using a style like this one. And it's going to be a good economical way to carry around a couple of bikes. This one can hold up to a total of 2. And with the Civic, it's not the hugest car on the inside. So getting your bikes back here, really make life a little bit easier, especially, not having to deal with any rooftop accessories or anything like that. I mean, me personally, I prefer to put bikes back here, deal with them back here as opposed to the roof. But with that said, the way this is going to work is really simple. It's going to hold our bike down in a few different spots. So there's going to be a frame hook up here, and that's going to drive the bike and the tires downward into the wheel cradles. Then there's a strap on each wheel, and it does a pretty good job. I mean, the bike's solid. The rack has some movement in it, but you're going to see that with pretty much every single rack out there. So it's doing a pretty good job holding the bike down. I will say with the frame hook style, since it's putting pressure on the frame, if you've got like a carbon type bike that's made from carbon fiber, probably not the best choice for you, so if you use this, make sure you have an aluminum frame or steel frame, something like that. With that said though, let's go ahead and just pop our bike off so we can have a closer look at the rack itself. So when you're ready to do this, you want to start down here at the wheels, and you want to get those straps removed. So just unbuckle those. Same deal with the other tire. Once you have these straps off, you want to make sure to hold your bike, because this hook is going to be lasting holding it, But once you do that, all you're going to have to do is push down on this button here and lift up on the hook. And then you're able to, kind of work that bike out and go hit the trails. So when it comes to, putting different types of bikes on the rack, the good thing is it's pretty much universal. It's going to work with a lot of different types of bikes. These wheel cradles are adjustable, so you can slide them back and forth to kind of account for the length. And they're relatively wide, so, all your road bikes and mountain bikes and BMX bikes, things like that will work with it. If you happen to have a fat tire bike, there's actually a rack that's available. It's identical to this one, with the exception of the wheel cradles here. They're designed a little bit different to accept those fat tire bikes. So if that's your case, check into that one. And really, it kind of works out pretty well with it. I was really curious to see if we could actually get into our trunk when we have the rack up like this, and we can. There's quite a bit of clearance here, so you can get in and out, things out of the back of your trunk if you need to. And I will say I actually tried to open it with the bike on, and it barely hit. So depending if, on the style of your handlebars or something like that, you may be even able to get into the trunk with the bike actually on the rack still. One thing that you do want to keep in the back of your mind is whenever you have the rack on the back of your Civic, it is going to extend the overall length of it. And just to find out how much, we'll go from the bumper to the very edge of our rack, and it's right at about 25 inches, excuse me, so not really a huge deal probably. Civic's relatively compact car, so you're not adding a ton of space back here, but if you do happen to have a really small garage or try to pull into a really tight parking spot, just definitely something to think about. Something that is pretty convenient, you can make this a little more compact. These side pieces actually fold up kind of like a suitcase. And in order to do that, you can rotate these pins and pull them out. And pop them back in there. Same deal with this one over here. Sometimes when the rack is brand new, everything's a little tight, but that's okay. Now with it like this, you know, it just frees up a little bit of space, you know, not only on the back of your car, but my thought is too, you know, in the off season or when you're done riding, you know, it's nice and tight. You can pull this out of the hitch and it's not going to take up a bunch of space, you know, so you can throw it up on a shelf in the garage or the basement and kind of, you know, keep it out of sight. So moving on down here, the rack is going to work with those 1.25" by 1.25" receiver tube openings like we have here today on our Civic, but it also has the ability to work with the larger 2" by 2" ones. So got a couple options there. If you got another vehicle in the household, maybe, you know, this will probably work with it as well. I do like it's got actually a pretty high, you know, rise in the shank here, and especially beneficial on the Civic. You know, they're a little lower to the ground, so this kind of helps keep things up a little bit higher out of harm's way. And it's also going to come included with a anti-rattle bolt that's actually has a lock on it too, so you can keep things secure to your vehicle. And what that anti-rattle bolt is going to do is eliminate any slop or play there in the connection point. So, you know, just to kind of give you an example of that, say if you're going down the road, hitting some bumps, and kind of simulate that, we can see that the rack is moving with our Honda and not on its own. This is our test course. Let's start with the slalom. This shows side-to-side action, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvering. Then, onto our alternating speed bumps. This shows twisting action, such as hitting curbs, potholes, road debris, or even uneven pavement. But other than that, you know, at the end of the day, a good bike rack to kind of get you going and help you get your bikes to and from the trails. But with that said, that'll finish up our look at of the Hollywood Racks Trail Rider 2-bike platform style rack on our 2013 Honda Civic.